It is a lovely morning outside today. Cold, but lovely. I am trying to get my morning routine and my regular routine just rebooted. So I am tired. My body has gotten used to waking up late again, so I have to start my waking up early routine over, and I have to start my time management process over. Yeah, today is a week for starting over. Alright, so it is day 111 of level grinding. I am Rachel Bastrash-Bowden, and I am standing in the middle of a whole bunch of traffic. No, not really, it's just a busy intersection. So, I am nearly finished with my regular morning routine. I've kind of simplified things a little bit because I've been running a little bit behind, but still getting in all the important things. So I feel really good about that. I'm almost finished with my morning walk, and then I'll be getting into breakfast, and then getting into, hopefully, my wonder work. I've got a bunch of numbers to crunch today. Today is a big number day. I need to get all of my business stuff finished for the past couple months, but I also need to get ready to do my taxes. And believe it or not, I like doing my taxes. There's just a bunch of prep work that has to happen. So that's today. But even though that's important, I really want to do my wonder work because that's even more important for me. So I'm going to get home here in a few more minutes and get started. So the first thing that I'm getting to this morning is my wonder work because it's the most important thing to me. This is the thing that moves me forward for the future. This is the thing that shows the kind of stories that I want to tell on a personal level. So I'm busy working on this. I mentioned last week that I got an idea about what my next film was going to be about. If you didn't see my first one, it's the Let's Talk QWERTY video. You can watch it here. In that film, I explored the idea of where did the invention of the QWERTY keyboard come from. We use it every single day, and I had no clue. And so I've asked another question that's similar to this. You'll see more about it in the next couple weeks. And so I'm in the process of doing some of that research. And it's really easy to say I have an idea, and I'll get to it, I'll get to it, I'll get to it. And this is part of the reason why I have on my first block of time for my workday a section that is called Wonder Work. It is dedicated to making this kind of stuff happen. There's a book that I love that is by a guy by the name of Carl King called You're a Creative Genius, Now What? And basically it's a book that explores the whole idea of how do you live a creative life, how do you make a living as a creative, and what are some of the things that you need to do. And he talks about in the book about how he dedicates his entire morning, his whole morning, from 8:30 in the morning all the way until lunchtime to work on projects that are most important to him. He's a musician, and so he's working on stuff that is new albums, new music stuff, exploring relationships, just figuring out all that fun stuff. He doesn't get paid a single cent for it. At least not in that moment. His thought on that is that this is the stuff that's paying the future, and it's the stuff that's going to pay off years later. Therefore, it is the most important thing to put an investment of time into. So I have adopted that philosophy into my wonder work. I don't give it my entire morning. I can't afford to do that right now. So I am giving it chunks of time in the morning, and I am in the process of working on making that a much more dedicated reality. When I have an idea to work on, it's a bit easier. But there's also the concept of just showing up every single day, and, in time, when you show up every single day, it will become easier to make ideas in the first place. But anyway, this is what I'm working on. The next thing I'm going to get to after I finish this out is scoring my 12-week year. It is, of course, 12-week year Monday, so I'll be talking a little bit about how last week went, showing you how last week went, and then stepping into this week, and I can already tell you that it's going to be pretty interesting. And then after that, I have to get into my numbers, taxes, yay! Honestly, there's only one problem with me doing wonder work before I do this. If I get into a research rut, it's really hard to pull away. So I finally had to look at the clock and just be like, you know what, you have to get moving, you have to move on. So that means that I'm actually interested in what I'm exploring, so that's good news. It will help me get into the swing of things tomorrow morning as well. So, but I have to stop about that. Time to score! So the first thing I need to do is just go back in and actually quantify the things that I didn't write in. That way I know what I have actually finished and I know how to count things. Because otherwise I'm just going to start tallying up stuff that's not actually accurate. Then once I have everything recorded down, it is time to start punching them into my calculator here.
it would help if I remember what it is. So everything is multiplied, if it is a daily thing, by 14.28. So for my first tactic in my first goal, that means times 3, and that gets me a score of 42.84. I will now continue this for everything until I get all the way down to the bottom for goal 3. So getting all of these numbers really doesn't take a whole lot of time, especially for tactics where I only have a few things to do for a particular goal. So like, for example, this was only 4 tactics for the week of 8, and 2 of them I didn't do at all, so those were just really easy to calculate out. Now that I have all of this, I'm going to punch it into my spreadsheet. Now, if you haven't seen my spreadsheet before, I've included a link in the description box below so that you can take a look at it and see what it looks like as a basic template. This is to give you an idea of how to set up your own template to be able to do what I'm doing. And I wanted to bring up a fact that I saw the other day from WellBehavedWallet. I was watching one of her recent videos, and she took my template and she went one step further and created a formula and a column to automatically tabulate all of these percentages as she went along every single day. She's constantly on her computer, so daily booting up her 12-week year and doing it all digitally is a really great format, and I wanted to point that out because I thought it was amazing. If you want to take a look at how WellBehavedWallet did her 12-week year and how she took my template and designed it to fit her needs, you should check out the video right here because it's really cool, and I loved being able to, 1, see my template in use, but 2, just to see how somebody went ahead and took it and made it their own according to their own purposes. So remember, my version's down below, hers is up there. I've entered all of my information into my 12-week year spreadsheet, and this is everything for week 8. I have a 20% completion rate in goal 3. Not surprised, only did it one day. I'm not surprised this is only 30%. I was absolutely terrible with the other 2 things that I needed to do for this particular week, so that's obvious. The fact that I only emailed leads on one day last week, that's as bad as that should be. And when it comes to my being healthy goal, this one is obviously the highest, and this is the one that I make the better effort for. I talked last week about how my time management really messed me all up, but even with that, I was able to take care of my self-care, which is really good, especially things like reading books, making art. These are things that are very important to me and my mental sanity and my personal health. So I'm really glad that I was able to keep this up, but this is something that really needs to improve, not just here, but especially in here, because these are the goals that are going to actually move me forward in my life. This one, goal 1, keeps me sane and keeps me functioning, but these are the ones that are actually going to move my life forward. So more work to be done here. So I have my new sheet printed out. This is for week 9. This is everything I'm going to be working on this week. I went ahead and added some stars to my goals in goal 2, my tactics in goal 2. That way I can see and focus on these things pretty quickly. And you can see that in addition to my regular reach out to 5 people per day, I've also got 4 other things on here that I need to get done. And these 2 things, the monthly Facebook and Twitter post prep, I need to get this done by the end of this week because that is when March is starting. March starts on, what is it, Thursday this week? I think so. So I need to get this ready to go out, and that's why this is back on here again, even though this is supposed to happen in week 7. Oy vey. But now that I have this completely printed out, I can compare those tactics to the things that did not get done last week, and you can see 2 of them already. Those look really familiar. So now I'm going to take this list and I'm going to go ahead and plan out this week. Oh, and you can see me using my new little stickers, my little page flags from the set that Robo bought me for my anniversary. And if you haven't seen these, I posted these on Instagram when I got them. These are my Star Trek sticky notes. They are made by the Unemployed Philosophers Club, and they are incredibly cool. And I love the pull tabs because if you pull one off, the one behind is blank because the person on top beamed down. Isn't that so cute? So, I have taken the last few minutes to schedule in my week. I moved my tasks that I didn't get done from last week over to here. Oh, and I need to add one back to it, reviewing the ACX documents and setting up my ACX account for my audiobook. So I'll get to that. But I've also mapped out when I want to do certain things over the course of the week. So today is all about getting my preparatory work for my taxes done. I have to do that. I'm going to make Tuesday all about getting my tasks done for my company. So that includes Facebook, Twitter, and possibly getting started on my blog. I also then on Wednesday, I'm going to Skype with a friend of mine. I want to do some work for the archive project that I work on a regular basis and get my work for my client named Drew done. Not a whole lot to do for him, so that should work out pretty good. And then on March 1st, I'm going to keep working on Brav, and I need to draft an article for Screenlight. And while on this day, I'm probably going to put on the ACX task as well. Maybe I'll move it up here if I can get my books done sooner rather than later. See what happens. And then I'm leaving Friday kind of open. And the reason for this is that I'm waiting to hear back from a couple of leads who want to have meetings this week. And I may have to move these tasks down into Friday. So I'm trying to leave that spot open to give me a little bit more wiggle room.
I wanted to talk a little bit about why vision is important, especially on weeks like today, where when scoring I find out that I didn't really do so hot last week, or when I find out that my time management actually sucks and I need somebody else apparently at home in order to stay on top of that. Not necessarily a bad thing, but so I want to talk about vision, and the reason why is because your vision is what gives you the oomph to keep going when things are bad. And so everything is tied to it. If you don't have a good vision, you are not going to go anywhere because you're not going to remember why it's worth it to keep going forward. This is something that I know, and it's something that I'm using a lot more this week than normal. And the reason why is because after having like 3 weeks in a row where a whole bunch of stuff has happened that has kept me from moving forward, or at least feeling like I've been moving forward, it's something that I need to remember because it's really easy sometimes to quit. It's really easy to say, you know what, I'm just not going to do this. I'm going to start over in a few more weeks when I get the wind back under me. And the reason why you have a vision is that you don't have to wait those 2 or 3 weeks or 4 weeks until you feel like getting things done. I mentioned the idea of stopping and sitting down every single day for my wonder work, showing up every single day, and the reason being that it's easier to get stuff done and easier to find inspiration when you get stuff done. This is a concept that actually comes from the book called The War on Art by Stephen Pressfield. His comment is that when you show up every single day, rather than waiting for the muse to strike and give you inspiration, you actually are more consistent with your output. And this is related to vision and to the 12-week year because the more that you're consistent with reviewing your vision, you remember why you're doing all of this work in the first place, and you are more likely to stay consistent in the day-to-day, showing up for all the tactics that you need to do so that you can move your life forward and actually work toward the future that you want to have. And knowing what that future looks like comes all down to your vision. So I actually keep 2 versions of my vision. I've mentioned Be, Do, Have before, and I keep that one in my work notebook. But I also have a second version that's just a written form, and I want to show that to you right now. So this is the standard one that I have. You guys have seen my Be, Do, Have. These are all the things that I want to be as a part of my vision. And these are things that have been happening. I've been noticing that I'm actually starting to live this out, which is really, really cool. Like I am more healthy and active right now. Have not really started giving away $1 million. I am doing some of that, but I feel like I could make more steps with that. But I am learning, I'm reading, I'm traveling. And even though I'm working really hard, I do feel more restful and rested. I have been growing books. I've been taking time to read fiction. I have been taking time to make art. And all of this feels really good to start seeing this start coming to fruition. There's some of this other stuff that hasn't quite happened yet, but these are related to more long-term goals. Now this is the version that is in my personal Midori, and I've been filling in this little pocket with all kinds of ephemera just from the last few days. But this is the written version, talking about how I'm a storyteller and a filmmaker, the kind of stories that I like to tell, traveling and exploring, the kind of house that I want to have and the environment that I want to have in it, the fact that I'm a business owner, the things that I have like a cabin. This is important in a written form. And something that is critical about your vision is how well you're able to visualize what it looks like. Having my vision written down in 2 different forms allows me to think of it in 2 different ways. Be, Do, Have lets me see where I'm at in the current moment, and having the larger written form, like all the words that are in it, allows me to see what that could look like in the future. The more detailed your vision is, and this doesn't necessarily work in Be, Do, Have, but in a written form, the more detailed it is, the more likely you're going to remember working for it. the more that I've read about vision, the more that I've read about creating your vision and writing it down, the more everybody suggests the idea that it needs to be as detailed as you possibly can make it. Some people go right down to saying, make it detailed as to like, what can you smell in the environment? What does the textures feel like when you are in that space, in that moment? What do you hear? What do you see that is in front of you? And the reason for this is that your brain is an extremely powerful organ in your body. The more that you make something a reality inside your head, the more your body and your brain is actually going to start figuring out ways how to get there. And so the things that you're working toward, the goals and the tactics that you need to get there every single day, actually start coming together a little bit easier because you're remembering your vision. Also, the more accurately that you can describe your vision, the more accurately that you can get yourself into that headspace that sees it in your mind, the more you're going to remember what it feels like. You're going to remember why you want to do all of that hard work in the first place. And so today I'm taking the time to remember and to revisit both versions of my written down vision, the be, do, have, but also that larger thing, and taking the time to spend some moments visualizing. This is why I'm doing all of this work, and this is why I'm slogging through weeks where my efforts don't pay off as much as they want because I'm not putting in the work. And so for me, this is really critical because if I don't have this vision written down in these multiple forms, I'm not going to be able to take the time to visualize it. Vision is critical to moving forward in a 12-week year. It's what gives you the inspiration. It's what gives you the tactics and the goals to have so that you can move forward in those actual goals. So if you don't have one and you've been using the 12-week year and you've been finding yourself kind of just flailing and it's actually turning more into a way of tracking your to-do list rather than actually tracking your progress towards your goals, it might be related to the fact that you don't have an articulated vision. And everything starts with your vision. If you're working in a 12-week year, keep working at it. Don't feel like you have to start over just because you don't have a vision. But make sure that you start making effort toward detailing out what do you want in the future. Because that is everything to you having the momentum to keep going.
Okay, now that emailing leads have taken me well into my lunch break, I need to go eat. That way I can be all ready to jump into financial numbers. Woo-woo!
So since after lunch, I have been working on getting my regular monthly bills and monthly savings accounts and all that stuff set aside for my business. I'm finally done. Hooray! And it is 3:30. Thankfully, though, that was one of the most important things that needed to happen, and now I can start working on categorizing and getting all of the data ready for my taxes. Yay! I just hope I can get a lot of this done in the next few hours. I was really hoping to be able to continue forward with actually punching in all of the data that we need to in order to do our taxes tonight, but that may not happen. So we'll see how far I get, and we'll go from there. All right, end of day, and literally end of day. It is. It's actually 9 o'clock. Robo and I went grocery shopping after supper, and that happened. Supper happened. Well, I was in the middle of fussing around with the rest of my business books, and that was partly because the accounting software that I use, Quicken, decided not to connect to my bank for the umpteenth time, and because it didn't want to connect to my bank, it meant that I couldn't run any of my financial reports for the past month and a half to be able to then say, hey, this is how much money I owe on my taxes for 2018. Fantastic. So that started a whole new problem solving of trying to find some new accounting software. I think I found one that I'm going to start using. I actually started playing around with it this afternoon. If you have suggestions for low-cost budgeting software for small business or freelancers, let me know in the comments because that would be really super helpful. I've been Googling just trying to figure out what do people suggest. So if you've got a suggestion, I will take it. But that has been where my day is at. I'm really glad to have my books finished for December, for January, and starting into February in terms of how much money have I made, what do I need to pay, what are my bills and things like that. So I'm glad that I have that work done. Now it just means that moving on to the task of preparing my financial statements for 2018, for tax season, 2017, but in 2018, is just going to take a little bit longer than I wanted it to. And this is why I built that buffer block into Friday, so that if I had to, I could push things down to be able to get the important tasks done this week. The other cool thing that happened today is that one of the leads from Tim Schmoyer got back to me. We're going to have a conversation later on Wednesday, so I'm looking forward to that. I will keep you guys abreast as to how that is happening on my hustle. But today, as it is 12-week year Monday, it's been all about remembering your vision. And on days where I have crap happen with my computer, I need to remember that it's all worth going for, even dealing with all the headaches of software not working the way that it is, because it is what's going to get me closer to my goal. It's also what gets me fired up about making more money and about pushing harder to make more money and find more clients, because on those months where things don't go as planned and where I don't make as much money as I hoped, it's having that vision that keeps me going forward rather than saying, that's it, I quit, I'm going to go work at McDonald's. So I hope you all liked this video for the 12-week year, for 12-week year Monday. Every Monday I focus on the 12-week year specifically because I know that that is a critical part of how I'm doing and how I am accomplishing my goals. So I want to show you guys that more in depth. If you have questions or comments, go ahead and leave them below in the comments as well. I'm happy to answer anything that I possibly can for you so that you guys can use your 12-week year to go after what you want. So if this is your first time joining me, I want to say thank you, and go ahead and click subscribe. I make these videos 5 days a week, Tuesday through Saturday, so you guys can see what it looks like to hustle and go after your dreams. And if you are a returning subscriber, I love you. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for watching every single day that I post a video, for your comments, for your likes. I wouldn't keep doing this if it wasn't for you guys and knowing that you guys were there and waiting for more content whenever I post it. So thank you very much. You guys are awesome. And I will see you all tomorrow. Ciao.